At Wednesday's General Committee meeting, a Barrie resident voiced his disapproval with regard to noise created by a construction project at 37 Johnson Street. He mentioned that the company is disrupting the peace of the neighborhood. In the beginning, Councillor Clare Riepma proposed an amendment that would give conditional exemption to the construction company FRAM and Slokker. The site falls under a quiet zone as there is a senior home nearby. According to current bylaws, construction in quiet zones is permitted from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. only. If the motion is approved, the company can extend the hours of construction from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. one day a week, Monday to Thursday. However, it will have to meet certain conditions. One of them is to provide residents who live within 500 meters of the construction site with the contact information for any questions or concerns. Many residents have voiced their grievances regarding the construction noise, the glaring crane lights past 8 p.m., and other issues. Riepma stated that if the company did not comply with the regulations, their permit would be revoked. This came after they had previously applied for an exemption in November last year, but chose to withdraw it upon realizing they were unlikely to receive a positive response from the council. Council will vote on Councillor Riepma's motion next Wednesday during City Council meeting, when residents will be able to provide deputation about the issue. During the meeting, there were several announcements. Mayor Alex Nuttall announced the appointment of Paul Evans as the new Chief Building Official. Evans joined the Building Services Department in 2021 as the Supervisor of Building Services. He has previously worked for the Town of Erin and Town of Newmarket. The Building Services Department is a part of City's Infrastructure and Growth Management Division. It ensures that Barrie buildings are safe. In his new role, Evans will be responsible for overseeing building permits, building inspection, building complaints, and building administration. Among other news, Barrie residents can track road plots to know when their street was last serviced. The tracker is available at barrie.ca/know. The city is now accepting applications for the Arts and Culture Investment Program. It invests in the work of not-for-profit arts and cultural organizations. The application deadline is February 15, 2023. For more information and to download the application, visit barrie.ca/ACIP. Refer to the timestamps in the description to navigate to different sections of the meeting.
I now call the General Committee meeting to order. Welcome everyone to this General Committee meeting this evening, January 11th, 2023. This meeting is being held in person and electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act. Before we move on to the agenda, I would first like to introduce Paul Evans as the new Chief Building Official for the City of Barrie. Paul joined the Building Services Department in 2021 as a Supervisor of Building Services and has previously worked for the Town of Erin and the Town of Newmarket. Congratulations to Paul. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For the consent items, I'll read out the title associated with the recommended motions printed on the agenda. Members of General Committee may ask that an item be held to discuss the matter further. If an item isn't held, the motion is deemed to be approved on consent. No further discussion of the item will take place at General Committee, and the item will go forward to City Council for consideration at the January 18th, 2023 meeting. Staff reports. Staff report CA001-23, confidential potential disposition of property rights and instructions to be applied to negotiations on behalf of the municipality. Negotiation of potential land lease for local branch of a national charity, portion of Mapleview Drive and Bayview Drive.
Hold, please.
Held by Councillor Harvey. EDC 001-23, grant application for Skills Development Fund Round 3, supported by Georgian College. Approved on consent. Lease of city-owned property, 24 Maple Avenue. Approved on consent. LCS 001-23, second request for temporary noise exemption at 37 Johnson Street, Barrie for FRAM plus Slokker.
Hold, please.
Held by Councillor Riepma. LCS 002-23, confidential personal information matter, appointments to various boards and committees of council.
Hold, please.
Held by Deputy Mayor Thompson. LCS 003-23, schedule of city council and general committee meetings for 2023 to 2026. Approved on consent. As there's no public meetings, presentations by staff are deferred business. We will now go to reports of reference committees. 5.1, report of the Community Safety Committee dated December 20th, 2022 to be received. Are there any questions or comments on this matter? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. And we will now go to staff reports. The confidential portions of the staff reports will be dealt with after the public discussions here. So we'll move on to, I believe, Councillor Riepma at LCS 001-23. Councillor Riepma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would like to, I have a motion or an amendment that was circulated, and I would like to put that one on the floor. And then I'm happy to, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, if you could read it out just for members of the public, please.
Yes. All right. First of all, that a temporary exemption to noise bylaw 2006-140 be granted to FRAM and Slokker subject to the following conditions. A, to extend the permitted times of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Saturday, excluding all days Sunday and statutory holidays, to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. 1 day per week, Monday to Thursday. B, the applicant be required to circulate to all residents located within 500-meter perimeter, as outlined in Appendix A to Staff Report LCS 001-23, a notice of temporary construction noise exemption immediately prior to the commencement of any work referencing the nature of the work, purpose, type of construction equipment which will be operating during the period of the exemption, and contact information for questions and concerns with a copy of this notice and a list of residents the notice was sent to be provided to the Enforcement Services Branch of the Legislative and Court Services Department. And C, the applicant be requested, despite the granting of the temporary exemption, to undertake all reasonable efforts to restrict the noise resulting from its activities to the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. whenever possible. Secondly, that in addition to the temporary noise exemption, the applicant A, ensure that the crane lights are turned off at 8 p.m. when not required to meet health and safety requirements. B, block or point temporary site lighting devices used during finishing processes away from the adjacent homes and residences. And C, ensure that the use of the boulevard be only for the receipt and staging of construction materials and not for longer-term storage. And thirdly, that failure to comply with the actions detailed in paragraphs 1 and 2 will result in the exemption being revoked. And I'd be happy to talk about that.
And that's on the floor?
Yes.
Wonderful.
A bit of background on this whole matter. You may recall 2 councils ago, this application for this building was actually turned down, and subsequently, a couple of years later, the Ontario Municipal Board, or whatever it was called at that time, approved it. And one of the difficulties is that this building is right adjacent to single-family homes on 2 sides. And since construction started, we have had quite a bit of disruption to the neighborhood, truck parking, lighting, and just general disruption in that area. And of course, some of that is to be expected. Construction is never easy, especially when it's infilling. And the most recent issue has been that the contractor has been pouring concrete and then taking working till late in the night to finish it. Our bylaw says that you can only work from 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon in a quiet zone, and that's what this is, because we have a seniors home a block away. Now, I've wrestled with this because there are two things going on at the same time. One of them is the speed of construction, and the purpose of this amendment is to allow the contractor to extend his hours until 8 o'clock in the evening, one night a week, not on Fridays or the weekends. And this is going to allow him to actually finish the building much sooner, finishing the pour. If we don't do this, then construction is going to drag out all summer long. And this exemption is going to expire at the beginning of June. And that is a time when people are going to be in their backyards, and they will be affected by the longer hours of work. And so hopefully we can get this building, the major concrete pours done and finished before the beginning of June. And that way the residents' summers won't be disrupted to the extent that they might otherwise be. The amendment that I have put forward basically is alternative 1 in the staff report, with the addition of the requirements with respect to lighting and the use of the boulevard. Lighting has been a bit of an issue here in that there's been a big crane light on top that's been lighting up the whole neighborhood. And they have now agreed to turn it off at 8 o'clock at night. And also the construction lighting is lighting up people's houses and bedrooms. And so they've agreed to point those lights away from the houses. I think overall it's a win for the neighborhood if we can pass this amendment. And I think also, Mr. Mayor, what it does is it helps our provincial government build more homes faster, because we'll get this building done just a little quicker. So I would ask your support for the motion as I've put it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riepma. Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Hurd.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Yeah, just a question for the mover, because you did bring up some issues around once the summertime hits, people being in their backyards and all that, as to any consideration about putting an expiry to this extension to, let's say, the 1st of June or 1st of July or whatever the case may be.
Yes, the intent is that it expire at the beginning of June. That was what they made the application for.
So, Councillor Harvey, that would be inside of the main motion. Is it?
Is it in the motion? Pardon?
Madam Clerk?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Or was it in the original? Okay, yes, we should definitely add it because that was the intent. June, yeah, beginning of June.
So that would be now item 4?
Yeah, right here. Yes, to June 2023. That was what the application was for. And I'm going to ask Madam Clerk to give us some advice as to where to add that.
Thank you, Councillor Riepma. Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Riepma. I would just add it to the first paragraph that a temporary exemption to noise bylaw be granted to FRAM Slokker, expiring June 20th, 2023, subject to the following conditions.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, that it was the intention all along. And that's what they applied for, actually.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. That was a good catch. That certainly helped. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? It's approved unanimously. Sir, so, sir, yeah, sir, next week you'll actually be able to speak. So what happens with this tonight is the actual motion that's been approved this evening comes back to City Council next Wednesday evening, and at City Council portion you can make a deputation. So if you reach out to the clerk's office by, I believe, Friday, Madam Clerk, and you can schedule a deputation and you'll be able to speak with regards to the motion.
As at the time that I left to attend this meeting at 6:45, they were still working. These people have total disregard for any bylaws. I want to make sure he's well aware of that, Mr. Riepma.
So sir, thank you for providing that information. And I think that if you can provide it within the bounds that we're allowed to take it, which is next week, and certainly be in touch with the clerk, and then we'll be able to have, I believe it's a 5-minute deputation to
How do I go about
speak.
being in touch with the clerk?
Yeah, we can provide you that information right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now that the public reports have been completed for this evening, we will move on to reports of officers, which there are none. Items for discussion, there are none, and information items, there are none. So we're now at inquiries. Are there any inquiries on my left? Seeing none, are there any inquiries on my right? There are none. We'll now move to announcements. Deputy Mayor Thompson, do you have any announcements this evening? None. Anyone else on my right with announcements? Councillor Kunkel.
I have a brief announcement that maybe I'll share into what I might assume to be a collective thank you on behalf of council to staff and others that supported the mayor's levy. So I'll move it back to you, Mayor Nuttall, but I did want to do a direct shout out. I had the benefit of attending the one in Ward 3 at the East Bayfield Community Centre, and I know staff there were very welcoming, and many compliments from residents that had actually been attending that rec center for the very first time, putting on skates for the very first time. So to Dan Bell and your team, thank you very much. And please pass it along to Rachel and facility staff.
Now, Councillor Kunkel, am I correct in that you actually put skates on and were out there on Sunday?
I did.
You did? Okay. Well, it was a good thing that I hurt my foot, so then I wasn't embarrassed by how good you are at skating and how bad I am at skating. So that's great. Are there any other, and thank you for doing that, I'll jump back to that in a second, but are there any other questions or any other comments in terms of announcements for the city? Councillor Hamilton.
Just a quick announcement and a good news story. I just wanted to acknowledge Brianna Prentice, who's a resident in Ward 10, but more importantly, the only player in Simcoe County to earn a spot on the Canadian National Ultimate Team. She's going to be heading to England to compete against the world's best teams, and we just wanted to wish her luck, and that City Hall will be rooting for her.
That's amazing. Thank you, Councillor Hamilton, for that. Are there any other announcements this evening? Seeing none, before we go into the regularly scheduled announcements, I also want to say thank you to staff, to Ms. McAlpine and all of the team of the rec services, both over at the East Bayfield Centre and Allendale. Everything was just fantastic on Sunday. I think we probably had 400 to 500 people out, and the amount of folks just saying thank you, which they shouldn't be thanking me, they should be thanking you for having that. It was a really nice opportunity for families, and the amount of kids who kept saying their parents would say, "This is our first time ever taking our child out skating." It was really neat to see, and I think that it wasn't on purpose, but it actually aligned with our strategic priority of an accessible recreation system. So that was great to see. Now that winter is upon us, the City Plow Tracker tool is available for residents to track Barrie road plows to see when their street was last serviced. The Plow Tracker is available at barrie.ca/snow. Christmas tree collection is taking place for the month of January. To help ensure collection of your Christmas tree, please visit barrie.ca/curbside collection. The City of Barrie has wrapped 5 more utility cabinets with local art and historical images. The utility cabinets include artwork by local artists and the Heritage Barrie Committee. These installations are part of the city's graffiti abatement program to reduce graffiti in Barrie. For more information about the program, please visit barrie.ca/graffiti. The city is now accepting applications for the Arts and Culture Investment Program. The program strengthens Barrie's arts and culture community through strategic investments in the work of not-for-profit arts and culture organizations. The application deadline is February the 15th, 2023. For more information and to download an application, please visit barrie.ca/ACIP. As a reminder, overnight on-street parking and waterfront parking restrictions are still in effect until March the 31st, 2023. For more information, please visit barrie.ca/snow and barrie.ca/parking. Before we move in camera, I would also like to ask if there's any items on the circulation list that we would like to either have questions on or refer to staff or refer to committees. Are there any items? Councillor Kungle.
If I may, looking at C3 230111, correspondence from the Executive Board of Directors of the Barrie Farmers Market. And I did want to take the opportunity to recognize the lovely summary around the success of the market, in particular how the $25,000 that City Council gave to move the market mobile last year was used, and the just extreme volume of different vendors that actually reached. And so that was a positive report back. I was going to ask staff, and maybe I'll first direct it to the clerk's office, if Ms. Cook, there was a commentary in there, I believe, that did talk a bit about how valuable the $25,000 was. I know we're coming into budget considerations, and we've changed our structure a little bit. So where best would we table a conversation about if that $25,000 as requested would be considered for 2023?
Madam Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungle, there are two options that you could consider. One could be an amendment at budget time to provide them with that. But if you want to have a more fulsome discussion about the whole market piece itself, I would suggest that it go to the Finance and Good Governance Committee. And because Council, if they want to approve the $25,000, they can do that outside of budget as well.
So if I may at this time, if it's appropriate process, may I refer that correspondence document to the Finance Committee then? And Good Governance, I believe it is.
Yes, you can. I wanted to ask another question about it. Can I, before you
I'll hold for Mayor Nuttall at this
I'll go
time.
back to you in a second. There's further correspondence in that same piece of correspondence with regards to market. Is there a current place that would land based on the previous recommendations of said task force?
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I believe you're directing that to me. The request I think that you're interested in is their suggestion that they're looking for additional space for winter. Is that the piece of the correspondence that you're wishing to direct?
I think there was actually two pieces to that.
Yep.
One was increased space
Yes.
because of capacity issues, and the second one was an opinion with regards to a future for the farmers market. And so I guess I don't want that to get lost if we're focused on the $25,000. And so if you can tell me it won't get lost, then Councillor Kungle can make her referral she already made.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I don't believe the future permanent market will be lost at all. There is past direction, and staff had undertaken some work related to retaining a consultant on the permanent market work with the intent to report back on the broader permanent market. Certainly, if the matter is referred to finance and good governance, part of that, if the committee chose, it could direct staff in corporate facilities to review options related to expanded opportunities for the market in the winter, given the existing building constraints.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Ms. McAlpine. So I'll now pass back to Councillor Kungle.
Thank you. So I'll just maybe frame that a little bit differently, but if we could refer business as identified in that document to Finance and Good Governance, so we could discuss the identified needs of the Barrie Farmers Market as it relates to winter operations and expansion opportunities, in addition to summer mobility.
Thank you, Councillor Kung. Are there any questions, comments? All those in favor? It's approved. Are there any other items from the circulation list? Seeing none, we will take a 5-minute recess and take our business to the Sir Robert Barrie room. Oh, I can definitely take a motion to move in camera before that. Do I have a motion to move in camera? It's moved by Councillor Kungl and seconded by Deputy Mayor Thompson. Ah, okay. See, I'm still learning. So do you want that read before we're actually going in camera? Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 staff reports that are going to be discussed in closed session. One is the confidential potential disposition of property rights and instructions to be applied to negotiations on behalf of the municipality, negotiation of potential land lease for local branch of national charity, portion of Mapleview Drive and Bayview Drive. And the second one is the confidential personal information matter, appointments to various boards and committees of council. We have a motion on the floor to go on camera. All those in favor? It's unanimous and approved. We'll take the 5-minute recess and re-adjourn.
That was the update from General Committee meeting.